What's up, guys? We're back. Not Road 2, definitely not Road 2. Nash and Arnold's. Just started back up into actual training today. I was busy totaling my car off yesterday, so I didn't make it in. But today went pretty well. I'll kind of walk you guys through it. And then I want to talk a little bit about some of the mindset changes that I'm trying to implement in this block, some of the ways that I'm trying to become more efficient, more analytical, and less emotional with my lifting. So start off today, we did some comp squats, and I worked up and hit, what did I hit? 232.5, and that actually didn't feel super great. My warm-up sets on the way up felt really good. No pain in my hip, which actually, for the first day back in a block, overall with my squats, my hip pain was much less than it has been in the past, so that was a good thing. Like I said, 232.5 for a single. That moved pretty so-so. I hit 240, 245 after that, and that was a rocket. That was probably, of all the squats that I did today, that was probably the single best rep that I had. I was really happy with how that moved and how it grooved. No hip pain. Again, just really, really good rep, really solid. And then my top single was 257.5 kilos, and that was pretty bleh. It wasn't great, it wasn't bad. I called it an 8.5, so I will repeat that on the second go around of this day, later this week. I did my volume at 220 kilos for 3 sets of 4. Those were pretty unremarkable. A couple of reps were a little bit painful, as tends to be the case. More pain with reps, more opportunity for me to miss groove as I fatigue and those kinds of things. So those were a little bit tougher than the singles, but all moved pretty well and within sort of expected RPE ranges. After that was comp bench, worked up to a single at 160, took ramp ups at, what did I do, 145, 152, and then up to 160. 160, did I call it? I called it an 8. So that moved like it should. Had 4 at a 9 after that and a couple of low drops. So ended up doing 145. Really trying to work on anticipating longer pauses heading into a competition. Looking back at that 180 that I hit end of last block, wasn't super happy with the pause length, so that's something I'm looking to rectify throughout this training cycle, is work with more strict pauses, hold it after the press, and anticipate those commands, because I've run into trouble there before. I've made some really rookie mistakes, both at War of the West and at not the last Nationals, but the Nationals before that in Regina. Skipped a command, really threw my bench off for the day. Same with War of the West, so really going to try to emphasize decent pause length. CPU is really bad for long pauses. That's a whole other issue. I'm just gonna gloss right over that. But yeah, so I'm gonna expect to be holding things on my chest for longer periods of time than I would like to. But yeah, bench moved really well, volume moved really well. Did some dumbbell bench after that, really no clue where to start with that. So I think I did 70s, 80s, and 90s, all for sets of 10. They felt pretty good. One thing I like about dumbbells is being able to get a little bit extra range of motion at the bottom. So I'm working on trying to be controlled and stretch into that range of motion. Just, I guess, to try and, almost like a deficit bench kind of thing. Try and extend the range of motion that I'm strong through. And hopefully, again, that carries over my bench, obviously, as the point. After my dumbbell bench, I did some comp deadlifts, and these were kind of mixed bag, kind of like my squat. On the way up, things felt really, really good. Pulled 340 for my top single. A little bit slow, a little bit shaky off the floor, as has been the case lately. Also, I think that I haven't hook gripped anything in probably a month and a half. So getting used to that again is gonna take some doing. My right thumb feels pretty bruised and shitty after today, but I don't know, what are you gonna do? Probably some equipped deadlifts with hook grip again tomorrow. That's probably what I'll do. Took some volume, 267.5 kilos for sets of 4 after that. Those felt really, really good, really, really smooth. Because I'm feeling slow off the floor, one thing I'm trying to do with those is emphasize like making sure that the bar's at a dead stop. Try not to maintain any tension between reps so that I'm having to build the tension off the floor each and every time. as a means to practice the skill of getting tight and being purposeful off the floor, and hoping that that carries over to speeding up my raw deadlift off the floor. And the last thing I did today was some snatch grip stiff leg deadlifts. Those really suck. I took it super easy on those. Conventional patterns, as some of you guys know who've been following along, are a little bit touch and go sometimes in terms of my hip health. So I really sandbagged those. They felt really good. And I think I finished with 90 kilos for a set of 8 there. That's pretty much the day today. I'm gonna be back in tomorrow, and I gotta do some high bar squats and some equipped deadlifts. I get slingshot on, not slingshot, I'm gonna use a Titan Ram for this training cycle and see how I like that. It's much more aggressive, much more akin to shirted work, I think. So I'm excited to try that out, excited to see how that goes. I will maybe do some sort of comparison between the two, talk a little bit about the differences between the Ram and the slingshot in my experiences. That might be a cool video. I don't know, let me know in the comments below if you think that might be something you'd be interested in. And the last thing I wanted to talk about today, we're not gonna do a question of the day, but instead I just wanna talk a little bit about some of the stuff that I'm gonna try to do this block. And I don't know, maybe if you guys catch me breaking my own rules, you can call my ass out on it. So a couple of things that I'm trying to do. Number one, I'm trying not to get very hyped up for any lifts. I'm gonna try not to use ammonia for the majority of this training cycle. I have a feeling towards the end there'll be some deadlifts that I'll wanna huff the ammonia for, but as a general rule, I wanna try to avoid the hype, because last training block went really well and I hit a wall early on because I was too aggressive with things. So number one, no hype. Number two, I'm gonna try to eliminate some of the characteristics of my lifting, in that I'd like to try to be less emotional with my lifting. So I'd like to try to make more decisions about training further removed from training, if that makes sense. Try not to make decisions on the fly in the gym based on how I'm feeling, but rather look at how I performed last session, analyze that critically, think about it when I'm not in the moment and emotionally invested, and plan my training accordingly. So I'm looking to try to make smarter decisions with the jumps that I make. I talked a little bit in the last wrap-up video about some of the mistakes I made last training block, and I'm trying not to make those same mistakes again. I think I can do a lot of the same things with my bench, but my squat and my deadlift I need to be smarter with. So that's the next big thing, is try to be less emotional, more analytical. And lastly, I kind of want to take my ego and expectations out of it. It's tough when you're so entrenched in social media and so involved in, trying to create content for YouTube and stuff. Like, I want to do heavy ass lifts and like make things look cool and be this big high performance athlete, and that's just not always the case in the gym. And I think I've done a pretty good job, or Dylan and I have done a pretty good job to this point anyways, of showing the good days and the bad. But one thing I'd like to try to do is limit how much those bad days crush me by limiting my expectations. So, if things aren't moving well, don't make a dumb call like putting another 5 kilos on what was a 9.5 last week. I did that last training block. That was stupid. Future Bryce, don't do that again. Yeah, so those are the 3 big things that I'm gonna try to do this training block. I would appreciate, obviously, if anybody notices me breaking my own rules, feel free to call me out in the comments. But yeah, maybe those are some things that you see yourself doing, or that some mistakes that you've made in the past, that you can use some of this spewing of philosophy to try and alter and do better yourself. I'm gonna stop jabbering now. We'll see you guys in the next video. I'm gonna be back in my deadlift suit, getting ready for the Arnold bodybuilding.com pro deadlift. So hopefully I can, do well. Christoph's coming, so we'll see how all that pans out, but I'm gonna train my ass off and try to do something really cool. We'll see you guys next time.